The important thing is that they keep their composure and make sure that as the picks and bans start for that game number 2, that they stay locked into what got them there, right? It's hard not to notice already how much better they're looking. Give some of that credit to Cassie, I assume, but they got to stay locked in on that.
I'm a big fan, though, of the Terra gameplay. I think that the Terra also was a lot of times a big reason for eUnited to not feel comfortable looking to aggress into Trifecta, because if the Terra's Blessing hadn't been used yet, eUnited couldn't really afford to just try and dive all in.
No, not at all. There were some times where you could see them hesitating, and you wonder how much of that was coming down to some of the support play coming out from my young man, Eonic, as eUnited will be the first pick this time. They've got the 1 win on the board, and now they've got all the pressure as they decide what to ban. Though, again, the first pick slot sometimes can be easier, because you don't always have to be the one banning away Merlin and King Arthur and Xbalanque. You can kind of relegate that to the other squad as Rat gets banned away from Weekend.
Smart ban away choice as well. United being in the driver's seat for the picks and bans means that they're able to kind of toss out, I think, bans that normally would have been saved for the 3rd and 4th banning period. But Ratatosker, you just don't want to have to worry about Weekend getting probably one of his better, I think, pocket picks.
Right.
I can't really even call it a pocket pick.
It's like a comfort pick, yeah.
It's just, we all know that he's capable of running it, and Rat itself just poses so many zoning issues. Why bother dealing with it? But this does lead me to believe that maybe eUnited are going to start taking a gander towards that Freya. I mean, we know Vetium loves to play it, and eUnited chose to ban it away in Game 1, but perhaps they might just try to first pick it here.
Certainly could be one strong to look at. Now the question becomes, just like last time, what is Trifecta ban? We already know they're willing to give up the King Arthur and let that one through. So are they going to look towards banning, the Merlin away again in that slot and trying to prevent that from eUnited? eUnited banned the Camazots, so they too felt a bit of respect towards what Ducky was able to do on that pick last time. And I imagine they're saying, well, now you can't feel as comfortable letting King Arthur through. And they were not.
You have to ban away the Arthur, but Merlin being available, eUnited has their pickings essentially. Pick your poison almost in a sense, because whatever eUnited don't take, Trifecta are going to be able to respond with, whether it's the Freya or the Merlin. Merlin has been the given choice so far for eUnited, so now Wowy, if he wants, could just tell his team, give me Freya, and I would love to see Wowy on the Freya. I think that it could be the hyper carry that Trifecta need. And
Wowy is someone who loves to play aggressive. We've seen him undeterred by some of these bigger names that he's up against coming in and battling with them. I mean, my man's a ranked monster. He's played against these players before, maybe just not on these big of a stage, so I love that he doesn't come in and end up nervous. So he'll definitely pick that Freya and start trying to pressure.
Well, he also had his spree with Noble. I think Noble made him a little bit more familiar with the player's stage.
It's been a minute, but
general.
Yeah, you're right.
and yeah, I mean, it's been a hot minute since we've seen Wowy in those Noble days, but here with Trifecta, he still seems as though his Hunter has not shirked away from any sort of 1v1 opportunity. Right. If it's clear that, it's not going to be completely one-sided.
I think you're right. We haven't seen him shy away at all, and this is great to hone in on this Freya and the Bellona, because this is another thing that second pick also does, is you kind of get your pick very often between the Achilles, Bellona. Those two have become sort of the top solo laners as well. We'll see if eUnited feel any need to pick those. Benji, clearly comfortable playing a lot of different stuff, but yeah. No reason not to lock in my main man Achilles when King Arthur's off the table. Freya Bellona on the other side.
Achilles probably just one of the better responders for this Bellona, but the Terra being added on top of all the damage that Trifecta was already bringing to the table with Freya and Bellona. Now, this is a pretty potent looking draft so far from Trifecta.
I agree.
And I don't know if this is all Cassier is doing, but it definitely feels like he's already starting to have an impact on this team.
It's hard not to say so, right? Because the Trifecta drafts didn't always seem this strong, but I love what they've done so far. Now, of course, eUnited have a potent draft of their own. The Achilles and the Merlin are very scary. Jingwei can be quite strong in the late game, and she won't have to worry nearly as much about the Freya pressure as a lot of other hunters would, which is coming down from that banish. So both teams have a strong draft. I would say that they're on relatively equal footing so far.
Wise ban away choice, though, for eUnited to take that circuit out of Weekend's hands.
Yeah.
Had a really strong showing on it in Game 1. Was just a pretty big nuisance, too, for BigManTingz. And I think that Trifecta are aware of the fact that eUnited want to take as many battles as possible in the mid lane, and because of that, they're trying to give Weekend these dive possible gods. And Circuit certainly fits the bill a lot better than most other junglers when it comes to the dive, but there's still the possibility of, I think, Robin making his way possibly even Thor or Thanatos, maybe Trifecta want to have an execute of their own to try and combat the Achilles.
Yeah, the advantage of that is that we know that Cirquet is a pick that Weekend's very comfortable with. So getting out of there and seeing what's next for him could be strong. Could even be something like an Arachne. But we'll see what it is that they look for as Trifecta turned their eye towards Collis with these bans, right? They're banning away the Ares and the Fafnir. Fafnir makes a ton of sense when they already have the Jingwei on the board and you don't know what they're putting necessarily in the jungle. So that makes sense. But this Ares as well, this feels very much targeted towards Collis.
It has to be. Ares would be the shutdown factor, I think, for the Terra, and not only that, but it brings about the situation of a forced beat puller early on.
Right.
And that's the exact environment that a Merlin wants to thrive in. If you don't have your relics, he is just going to burst you down without a second thought. And for Trifecta to also ban away the Ares leads me to believe that maybe they're looking for some gods with mobility in their kits. There's a possibility... Well, actually, scratch that since Newell's been locked in. I was going to say maybe Lasbra tries to take a Hunter into the mid lane since they do have the Freya already in that Hunter role, but going to decide against it and take that Newell one more time. Had a lot of player damage in that first game as well, so it seems as though Lasbra's decently warmed up.
I think so too. He looked comfortable on the pick, and it was one that helped them pressure out the solo lane. So if Bologna's in some close matches with the Achilles, maybe that can help her even things up since Bologna's got to deal with that execute. And now we move over to eUnited, who we already said are likely still waiting on their pick for Collis, but also still waiting on what they want to give over to IceIce. And they've been willing to wait on Ice's pick so far. And now with the Naja coming through, yes, the Naja is very likely going to Ice. And then this Geb going over to Collis. I love it. Naja, I feel like, should still be valued.
Very peel-oriented, though, for eUnited with that Geb. And it's a little bit awkward because I do think a dual lane composed of Jingwei and Geb can definitely struggle a little bit, but it might not necessarily even be Geb in the support role. There is a slight possibility, I think, of the Achilles and Geb being interchangeable between Collis and Benji.
You're right. Geb, especially in a matchup where you don't think there's going to be too much pressure, is a bit of a greedy pick, but it's nice if you can get him to the late game and suddenly you have that Geb with a little bit of extra farm. It's certainly nice. You're right. I think likely someone like Benji's going to want the aggressive pick, but it's certainly still a possibility.
I feel like the Achilles would fare significantly better against the Bologna, so we can probably just assume that it's Achilles for the solo lane, but hey, it's not easy to assume with some of these pro players. The only thing I'm glad I got right was that Robin pick for Weekend. That's
a strong one that he gets to round out the draft and still can dive like the Cirquet. Looking at these two, are you leaning either direction based on them real quick?
It's so tough because both of these comps have their different power spike levels. I think it's just going to come down to execution.
Well, we'll see which one of these teams can execute better once we get into the game. eUnited up against Trifecta. Tom and Toli, take it away.
What up, demons? It's your boy. Getting into game number 2, eUnited versus Team Trifecta. I don't think they're a team. I think it's just Trifecta. But they're going to look for the win here in game number 2. And if they're going to do that, I think they should do a lot of what they did in game number 1, just the early portion.
I don't expect them to have that much success at level 1 the same way they did against the Bakasura.
Sure.
Right? The Naja has a better clear, I would say, to start things off, especially when you're dealing with a Bakasura jump as opposed to the eat minions. So it's important to see where Eonic is and how he's going to try to start off the game. And so far, it's looking like he is going to at least lean on that lane. It's not on the offensive side, though. It's kind of more defensively to see if eUnited is going to be the ones invading.
Exactly. So if you're just joining us and you missed game number 1, Trifecta sent their support player down to the speed buff to harass and actually steal the original speed, and that kept IceIceBaby sort of at a disadvantage. Now, it's very interesting because that was a strategy that seemingly has been changed because the game itself was changed. Now, you can see there's been a change to eUnited's approach because they ward the spot where Eonic's going to creep on up, and now everybody knows that the support's coming here. Benji slides over from the solo lane. Eonic gets stunned out, and so IceIceBaby should be able to confirm this. I say should. Eonic's still here, and just barely IceIceBaby able to get that one. Because Eonic would have traded his life to steal that speed, absolutely. Right now, his solo laner for Trifecta doesn't really deny much.
They want to clear the wave as soon as possible to look for the blue buff invade. But IceIceBaby, after getting his speed buff, blinks to the blue buff, clears it very fast because of that gap closer, and there was no possible blue buff steal out of Trifecta.
Eonic still chasing this IceIceBaby. And so basically, the finer point is it's a very high-level change. There is an additional minion added to the dual lane that makes it so that if you and your dual lane partner clear a wave, you get level 1. Or you get level 2, rather. And that's what you're looking for. That's the change here. Weaken quickly changes Wowy into a dead player, and First Blood goes to Trifecta. This little blink over there. But essentially the breakdown of this start, Toli.
He's not done. He's wrapping around left side. He wants more.
Oh my god, just let me go! Weakened! Attacking Vetium. Does have the dash. Eonic gonna get jumped on, likely lose his life, but a nice stun is good. Lasbra here, but the ring bounce! A little bit too exciting. And Eonic falls down to the wayside. Trifecta here in the enemy jungle. Real quick, players would look to punish the jungler like we just see Eonic do. Things are changed. People have walked away from that strategy. Game number 1, Eonic sticks to it, and it's successful because nobody's expecting it. This time around, eUnited put a ward there, and they see Eonic, and so it dissuades both the invade on the speed and the invade on the blue, and Eonic winds up putting himself down for really nothing.
Not again. Callus this time has the shell available to him. Does have the rollout. A
beautiful
great double whoop out of Wowy.
And there's going to be damage on Callus. Continued. Weaken. Looking for one more. Can't find it. Hits him with the Prada onslaught. And just like that, 2 minutes, 2 duo lane ganks. Weaken looking strong here on the Robin, just like he did on the Circuit in game number 1.
This is what Weaken normally does, except on the solo lane side of things. But this time transitioning it into the duo lane because of all the solo farm from Wowy's Freya. This damage is skyrocketing now, and this time Wowy, as opposed to the last game of Moose and Cobb that went for Mage's Blessing Transcendence, is sticking to the attack speed build on the Hunter's Blessing for the Freya, which is probably a little bit more efficient.
Yeah, very different situation here as we watch the Freya come out versus the AMC. Freya still strong. I think she's got incredible pressure in the early game and incredible power and dominance in the late game and incredible invisibility in the mid game. She doesn't get stealth. She just doesn't do anything in that mid game, and it's really punishable. Whereas the Naja across the way, Toli, I think that's going to be the biggest deal. Finch kind of alluded to it with his tone of voice when he said it. He said, let me do my Finch impression. You know what I mean? I don't know why you're even walking away. Right? He said, I think Naja should still be relevant. And I think that's really the key here, is that Naja is still that good.
Is Finch Jerry Seinfeld? Because that sounded more like Seinfeld-esque than Finch.
Now that you say it, Toli, he just might be Seinfeld. If Finch is Seinfeld, then Agro's Newman.
Yes! Oh my god, we are all living in a sitcom, not a simulation.
No, well, the Skillshot Offices is absolutely a sitcom, and maybe someday I'll collect royalties on the TV show I write. But for now, we're going to follow the script that Trifecta and eUnited put in front of us. Game number 1 was fast and furious, especially when compared to what we saw earlier with Dignitas and Pittsburgh Knights' very slow first 3 games. So for this one, I'm kind of expecting a return to the same. I want to see more aggression, more fast-paced play. IceIceBaby on the Naja is looking to just skate around the whole map and destroy everyone. Weekend on the Ravens looking to do the same thing, but perhaps a little bit more divey. So eUnited and Trifecta, this should be a high-paced, up-tempo game for sure.
And that's how it started off. Already 3 kills in 5 minutes. IceIceBaby accessing his ultimate. Both junglers with Talaria boots looking to make their rotations a little bit impactful, as both of them leaning a little bit now on the right side of the map as Weaken staggered behind IceIceBaby. You can tell the disconnect though, because Benji wants to find a kill here, but IceIceBaby gonna get that 125 gold for the team.
No, I like that play. I think Benji's kind of making sure Ducky can't come over. You saw the amount of damage Ducky was already able to do to that totem, so zoning him away as a good solo laner should do, while his jungler takes care of the objective. As minor as it is, they provide the major strategy. And eUnited, one more time, find themselves grouped up 3 players strong in the mid lane, tied up here at 6 minutes.
The reason why I think Benji has an advantage against Ducky is because of that fatal strike. So I think any sort of assistance IceIceBaby can lean on this lane goes a long way. Same way Weaken was able to do so on his Circuit.
Whew, whew. IceIceBaby uses the ultimate to get out of jail. Weekend uses the ultimate to chase him down, and the blink will get IceIceBaby out of jail one more time. Kalis leashed, and there's a nice little Geb shield. This is, well, IceIceBaby jumping in on Weekend. The ring bounce is available, but the ultimates aren't for either jungler. And a beautiful Blizzard will keep the enemy at bay from BigManTingz. Left side Harpies. Intelligently played. eUnited will grab them. So this solo lane matchup at Anatoly. This is the flavor of the week. Achilles, Bellona, both of these characters are dummy strong and very, very successful in both the Pro League and at a ranked level. 2 questions for you, veteran solo laner. What makes them so powerful, and who wins the matchup?
I think Achilles wins the matchup 9 times out of 10, as long as you're not allowing the Bellona to consistently basic attack you with the Berserker Shield. If you're just looking for poke and disengage, Gladiator Shield Achilles will win that trade every single time. You don't even have to disrupt the bludgeon.
That was what I was going to ask, because that's not even a big part of it, right?
It's really not, because the sheer, as long as you're maxing out your combat dodge, your third ability, hitting both of those consistently out-damages the bludgeon at the end of the day, and you're trading out ultimates for ultimates because you'll never really hit a Fatal Strike onto Ducky, but if you could just bait out the Eagles Rally, that's where the jungle pressure is going to lean on.
Well, there's pressure on Kalis right now. The whoop leads him to being about half HP. Vetium's here, though, so not going to chase. 4 players invade the red buff. It looks like Trifecta will come up empty-handed. United able to defend and walk away.
And with everyone walking away, just to elaborate more on that solo lane matchup, because of the passive from Achilles, given more just physical power and movement speed, because no one's going tank Achilles to start off the game solo or jungle anyway. So that extra physical power is going to hurt for abilities, for basic attacks, but you don't really want to trade basic attacks with a Bellona because she's going to get extra protections as well from her passive.
And of course, she's got the block stacks that you don't have access to.
The reflect is annoying. You don't want to allow her to scourge off of you if possible.
There's so many things to worry about with respect to Bellona. And it's a very interesting matchup, I think, in the solo lane.
It really is. So it comes down to the outside influence, because I think just straight up Benji will have the advantage, not because of just his more experience as a solo laner, but I think Achilles just goes a little bit like 53-55% advantage. Well, that's all it takes.
Yeah, and to be fair, that really it really is all you need. Right now, Benji certainly seems to have been enjoying himself in this lane, continuously pushing up on the enemy tower, looking for the shots on the Totem of Coup. And see, I like Benji. 2 shots, goes back to deal with Ducky. Just, that's one of the nice things that you can do with this objective is you can build up that damage over time instead of just stick to it.
And with the 6th one already, that's 750 gold collectively that eUnited has over Trifecta just from that Totem of Coup.
And there's a 1,000 gold lead for eUnited, so Benji kind of contributing to that almost himself. eUnited have 1 killed, Trifecta's 2. But IceIceBaby
did make that 1 rotation in the solo side, so that helped out with one of the Totem of Coups, but no real kills on either of the solo laners, which is not a bad look when there's this much action in mid lane.
IceIceBaby, we're trying to run away. Eonic uses the ultimate, and IceIce, pop! Big damage. Up in the air goes Nuwa, and down to the ground goes the Bakasura player from game number 1 who's on Naja. You like that fix? That's how we do it. Now looking for the red buff. Wow, he tried to get it. And Vetium shows up with help from Kalis. Weekend and Eonic wrapping around. There's the blink forward. Kalis stunned out. There's a dash, and the Rockman falls down to the wayside at 10 minutes exactly. Trifecta again. Looking strong in the early game.
And eUnited really wanted to defend that red buff. You can tell after losing the previous one, they didn't want to lose 2 consecutively. And despite some of the changes to how you get experience from invades, it's still impactful to deny the red buffs here, knowing that BigManTingz is not going to have access to that extra damage. Lasbra, despite being level 9, was the tipping edge to find the kill onto IceIceBaby. So you give a red buff for him on this level 9 Nuwa, and it's going to be easier to find the kills.
Wow, he gets the oracles. Nice vision there given to the Freya player. No early gold furies, at least unannounced early gold furies for eUnited. Wowy will have first pick of it. Benji again gets the Totem of Q 7 times now in a row. Almost 1,000 gold off the totem by itself.
Yeah, one more. That's all it's going to take.
Ping's coming out as Naja makes the rotation down to the left side of the jungle. Everybody needs to be aware of whether Naja is at, and whether or not the ultimate is available, whether or not the blink is available. Love the build so far out of the Naja as well. Speed boots into the Jotuns. Jotuns, a forgotten item it seems like sometimes. Half of your CDR cap, 40 power, and 10 penetration. Remember when this was 11 penetration?
It was so random.
11 physical pen? I loved it.
We had to nerf it because it was 15, I believe, at a time. So what was... were you involved back then for that thought process? I'm curious.
11 penetration. Trifecta trying to put all of their penetration on BigManTingz. Up to the sky goes Lasbra. Aegis is no good. Eonic with the last hit on BMT. Kalis goes down as well. Weaken on the good side. IceIceBaby to the right and Vetium to the left. Both players could collapse and cause some devastation, but all of Trifecta have combined and coalesced around the red buff. They steal it away and will walk away largely unscathed. 2 kills, a red buff invade, and Trifecta have tied up the game. Benji might have found a big lead over there by Totem of Coup, but now it's all Trifecta. Rotation from the solo lane. Rally over here, he says, and Wowy says rally over there. IceIceBaby goes down to the hand of the Valkyrie. Benji on the run. Weaken trying to find it. Wowy can't get the lift, but it's all good. Trifecta on the retreat.
They're going to be able to grab themselves a Gold Fury knowing that IceIceBaby is dead and no real health onto Benji to make an impact, especially with that blink down. It all comes down to yet again.
Here's the United, though.
The collapse. It lasted such a long engagement that Kalis was able to revive. BMT and Vetium making a statement there. You got to respect the Xingwei passive to get back into the thick of things. And these rotations from Trifecta, not only is it offensively, but the way they've been able to coordinate and retreat all on the same
That was huge.
pathing
That was huge.
leads to their safety. They don't get the objective, but they're basically tied up the game after having a 1,000 gold deficit.
That was huge. I liked how quickly they went to the Gold Fury. They chased Weaken until the blink came out, which is a win in and of itself. They go back to the Gold Fury very quickly, and then very quickly they drop the Gold Fury. Game number 1, we talked about how they kind of waffled there for a moment. It was a little bit scary, too many cooks in the kitchen. This was a very different story, and those are the things that, if you're a Trifecta fan, you've got to get really excited about. You've got to see, it's kind of interesting to say, yeah, you should be very excited about the team all retreating at the same time. But honestly, I mean, you know exactly what that is.
You could get overzealous, knowing that Benji had to use the blink to get away. You could have kept chasing it, honestly.
Yeah.
Weaken having speed buff, he could have still kept going to get the kill if he really wanted to, but then the respect of the respawn timers, not enough, I think, for Trifecta to get the Gold Fury. They staggered a little bit too long, but they're consistently getting these red buff invades, but this time, Weaken left alone and isolated.
IceIceBaby going to bring him to the sky, right into the blizzard. Kalis with the last hit. I don't think anybody's happy about that one. But a kill's a kill. And number 2 for eUnited. Number 3 for eUnited. I didn't even see Lasbra there, and I'm certainly not going to after the fact. Eonic, in execute range, walks away from the devastating strike out of Benji. Gold Fury started up by eUnited. I don't think Trifecta are able to walk in here. Look at Polona. Look at Polona. 50% HP. Ducky gets sniffed out. If Ducky makes that rotation with nobody seeing him,
It's possible.
But it's a big if.
It is a
doesn't
big
happen. And the Gold Fury goes the way of eUnited.
Hey, when Solo Troll steals a Gold Fury with a power cleave, I think anything is possible. Even a Scourge steal.
I don't remember the call, but I'm pretty sure I got memed on Esports Weekly. They showed the replay, and then Aggro had to show it again with my commentary.
Okay.
So, it had to have been bad. I think I'm just like,
It was a power cleave.
how do you steal with a power cleave?
You steal with anything, Tom. Incon stole Fire Giant with an Athena reach.
I knew you were going to bring up the Incon. Didn't he also steal with
Lassus stole Fire Giant with a Loki decoy.
Hey, man. The Loki decoy is effective. God, Laz is playing Loki. Loki might be the only character I think that is not strong in Smite right now.
A lot of junglers competitively would agree with that statement, at least in the early game. And that's where Season 6 matters the most, almost.
Yeah.
Where whenever teams are developing strategies to shut down an enemy jungler by sacrificing their own support to just press W on their keyboard towards you, yeah, whoever is going to be playing that Loki is going to be suffering that same fate.
Yeah.
Except a level 1 Loki can't really do anything compared to like a level 1 Naja.
Yeah,
for
there's
example.
nothing. There's nothing you can really do. It's tough stuff out there for the Lokester.
Good.
I know you're a big Loki fan, Toli.
No,
You're a Loki main.
I hate Loki.
We know how much you love that guy. Big
Get
Loki
him outta
fan.
here.
Big Loki fan, right?
The day
Toli?
that he was removed from Smite, that one day,
that was so good.
I was a happy camper.
That was one of my favorite events. Not even because I hate Loki, I just thought it was funny. IceIce has Blink, right? Yes, he does. Blinks right on top of the Freya. Immediately goes to the sky and deals the damage back. IceIce will walk away with his tail between his legs. Still has the ultimate, however. So a win for sure.
I think Wowy should be mindful, though, that a ring bounce with the slow can give the distance that IceIceBaby needs to catch up for the stun into the ultimate. So if he sits around that left side of the lane, he could easily get ganked. But having the vision control underneath purple buff, whenever you're constantly under pressure as a Freya that doesn't have any sort of relics or ultimates, those wars between the red and the purple, it's going to identify the jungler's pathing early game, identify the supports coming in, and allow you to just keep farming.
Just keep on going. Always be clearing. The ABCs. 17:40 on the clock, and it's 7-3 on the scoreboard. Trifecta led the game, still lead the game in kills, but they have recently dropped an objective to the opponent. So 21-90 wave to wave is the lead that Colossus team now have. They'll push that forward by a little bit with a Pyromancer. And as we approach the late game, kind of exiting the mid game here, what sticks out to you as far as what Trifecta need to do to really jump back in?
For Trifecta, it's about how they were able to exploit the red buffs. The one non-ultimate from Weaken into the one non-ultimate from Lasbra gave 2 free picks for eUnited into the Gold Fury objective, and that allowed them to really start controlling this game. So if you're going to be making the aggressive plays, you got to have your spidey senses tingling for when you're about to be in danger. Because offensively, they've been great. They are leading in the kill department. But eUnited with just those 2 later picks, because you can get all the kills you want, but if they're in the early game where they're not leading to Gold Furies, then what value do they truly have? eUnited, a more experienced team in general, understand the timing of their deaths is not that significant in that early, whereas the timing of the deaths from Trifecta is to be exploited with some of these objectives. So if Trifecta want to really get back into this one, keep looking for the picks now, but just make sure that they know to have an escape plan after the fact.
Mid lane, a little bit of wave clear as the game slows to a low. Oni Fury coming up in a matter of moments, and I expect to see a tussle over that objective, honestly, Toli. I think Oni Fury excels the later the game goes, for sure.
I totally agree with you, because the way Season 6 mechanics work for Gladiator minions now, between the 10 to 20 minute mark, you're guaranteed to get 1 Gladiator minion every wave. 20 to 32, 30 minutes and onwards, it's 3 every wave. Whereas before in Season 5 and earlier, it was every 3rd wave that you would get these Gladiator minions. So if you get an Oni Fury to enhance, let's say even 2 of these bigger melee minions, these towers are not standing much longer.
And the Oni Fury is going to... Or excuse me, we're going to get 1 more Gladiator minion now.
Yep.
You were too early, Toli.
No, I was just on time.
No, you're too early. Lasbra on time. Aegis is good. IceIceBaby chased out by Ducky. Still goes to the sky as the new IceIceBaby dealing damage to Weaken, who now tries to dash away. Trouble in the middle lane. eUnited separated. A beautiful triple whoop, and it's going to cause Ducky to miss the ultimate. That's a problem. As BigManTingz takes down 1 just like that. Is there an opportunity for Trifecta to jump in if he gets the Eagles rally?
Yes, I think there absolutely is. You get the damage, you get the stun after the fact. Ducky a little bit jumping the gun on that ultimate. Huge mistimed ultimate. A great play to set him up was Wowy, though, that could have been executed.
Only just taken like that. Trifecta needed to push a little bit further.
But they're fighting 4-on-5 F that.
And
They still are going to get taken out here. Eonic, without his double dash, he should be next.
Yeah, that's going to be problems for Lasbra. Hides in the fog and able to escape up north. Eonic goes down to the hand of IceIceBaby. Wowy's going to land and just quickly run around the wall. Here comes the Weekend. There's a leash. Oh, no. Oh, no.
He's not done.
Benji's not going to let this go.
He's going to get it.
There's a dash one.
Oh, didn't have the range.
Oh, my goodness. I can't believe he let that one go.
But delaying the back from Wowy long enough still enables eUnited to get this tier 2 middle tower.
And they're going to look for Benji after the fact as well. Half HP on the Achilles. Nice crowd control to get rid of that bludgeon.
It all came down to that really botched ultimate out of Ducky. That was a well-positioned ultimate,
yeah.
just slightly mistimed. And this is the one thing where if you don't play with a Freya long enough, you kind of misjudge that whoop descent.
Sure. Just how far everything drops can be a little bit surprising, I suppose.
I'm a little surprised to see Trifecta go for the double Void Shield. When I saw those two items between Ducky and Weekend being tier 1, I was thinking, oh, okay, one of them is going to build into Void Shield, the other is going to build into Shifter Shield, and have a lot of power to go on the same target, but overlapping that aura, not the most efficient way to go about it, but it's still good if you are on different targets, right? If Ducky is going to be peeling in the backline against Benji, for example, Benji's physical protection is going to get weakened, but where's the physical late hyper carry damage? Wowy's playing the Freya, not like a traditional hunter.
Well, here's going to be a traditional team fight. Eonic in trouble, and BigManTingz cuts down the Guardian. There's Lasbra to the sky, and BigManTingz trying to get jumped on. Weak Daddy puts BigManTingz back in a box. Trouble for IceIce as Weekend turns him into the better half of a double kill. Weekend's here waiting. Vetium strong, but the rest of Trifecta on the run. Wowy to the skies, and Lasbra takes down Vetium. Benji, the beast that he is, will take down Ducky, and Callus will get his face fixed. Weekend again, the unofficial triple kill, and Trifecta wrestle control of the game out of the hands of eUnited.
Wowy doing so much damage in that fight. The early victim of Eonic. Bought enough time for Wowy to make this rotation. Could be an unofficial deicide if they can catch out Benji.
Now there's the run, and well, where's the Benny Hill music?
There it goes. Right
That's
there.
official. Deicide that comes through. The target from Pyromancer quickly switches over to Fire Giant. El Gigante de Fuego. And IceIceBaby on the way will likely show up after it's closed. That's rough.
I was a little worried about the lack of physical hyper carry damage from Trifecta might have been an issue. But after seeing Wowy in that last team fight, I'm not too worried anymore about their lack of damage. However, it could be a factor when it comes down to sieging these towers. Wowy playing the Freya doesn't do the most damage to these objectives, whereas a traditional physical hunter would.
Sure. I think that's certainly worth thinking about. The Oni wave, by the way, that eUnited earned by taking care of that Oni Fury will be pushed up there. And that'll take care of the left side tier 1 tower.
Gives Trifecta now a target on the left side of the map to go for their own tier 1 tower, being dangerously low at around 10% health. And when you're going for the dual lane towers, this is the opposite side of the Fire Giant, so you're really looking forward that timing window where you can get that left Phoenix and look for the second Fire Giant, which will be the enhanced one upon respawning.
So at 25 now, Enhanced Fire Giant on the menu for the next time he shows up. United, though, have to defend against Trifecta. And I really want to make sure Trifecta give them something to defend against. I think there's a world where Trifecta aren't grouping up here. That's concerning. I think there's a world where Trifecta don't group up at all, and that would be very concerning. Right now, we have a couple players in the mid lane.
They still have about 2.5 to 3 minutes to utilize this buff if they really want to, but I think they're really waiting for this Primal Fury to respawn on the left side before they go for any shot kind of shenanigans. Weekend absorbing some abilities against Benji and Callus, nothing to write home about, but yet again,
Easy.
Lasbra's still kind of in this left side of the lane where he kind of fell in game number 1 in an awkward position, but this time he's against IceIceBaby. Snaja instead of the Bakasura. So he doesn't have to worry about that 100 to
Big.
0 potential.
That said, if you get ulted, you're probably dead. Benji kept at a distance. Gold Fury's up one more time. It's a Primal Fury. Eonic pops the ultimate. Now we'll see the team fight. Lasbra goes to the sky. Damage from the ring toss not going to be sufficient. And a couple of baby crits out of Jingwei.
Forcing out a lot of ultimates from Trifecta. Eonic was the target, but he's still very healthy. Keep in mind, IceIceBaby is looking for something here, but Trifecta does get the Primal Fury. I like eUnited's idea and mindset, though, to keep these fights away from their towers and phoenixes.
Yeah, do it around the objectives, because should you get away with a kill, should you get away with a pick, you can topple your way over our towers if we fight there. If we fight at different places, it's going to take you travel time to really get there, and that's a big deal. So a nice look there from eUnited.
Something small that we can actually take note of is Callus having 20% cooldown reduction between Shoes of Focus and Genji's Guard, whereas if we're looking at Eonic's build, having 10% from the Spirit's Robe. So when you're trading out Cataclysm from the Geb versus the Earth and Fury from Terra, the next team fighting stage is Callus is definitely going to keep that mental note to see how much longer that big, impactful team fighting ultimate is.
How much it can impact things is certainly the question that you want to be asking yourself if you're going to be all assaulting. Trifecta now did their best to tie the game up here in the late moments totally. But now they have to look to usurp that lead from the opposition. And when I see Trifecta, what I want them to do is just play dirty and fast.
As long as they're together and utilize Wowy's damage to protect Wowy, Operation Protect Wowy is
That's
this
it?
next fight.
Protect the Freya?
Protect the Freya. Make sure the Freya's damage is going to go uninterrupted. A Freya that's free casting should be the key to success for Trifecta. And if we're looking at the magical damage on the flip side for eUnited, there's a lot of space control with BigManTingz playing this Merlin with the Blizzard, with the Fire Stance. And he's going for all the items you would want to get on any dot character.
Sure.
Spirit Magus, Gem of Isolation to slow you down after the fact, and even Shaman's Ring to make that first tick apply the passive to get the 10% extra bonus damage after the fact.
eUnited grouping up on the right side. They push Trifecta into their own base. And the Fire Giant will be ready in a matter of minutes, if not moments.
It's going to be the enhanced one, so this is important to really fight over. So Trifecta, though, not taking full advantage of their first Fire Giant, but they are kind of grouped up after their Tier 2 tower, keeping everyone on the left side and the bottom side. I don't know if eUnited necessarily care, though. This corridor also favors them, having Callus on the Geb, BigManTingz on this Merlin. IceIceBaby has been a little quiet this game, but all it takes is one key ultimate on a squishy to really turn it around.
Yeah, the setup is nuts there. Players kind of separating themselves. Trifecta getting split up, 2 in the mid lane, 2 in the jungle, and 1 on the right-hand side. So a nice protection for pretty much all situations, except for just the fallback of the Pyromancer kill. So eUnited certainly not forgetting what allowed them to take game number 1, or what allowed them to stay competitive here in the later portion of game number 2.
Can we talk about Weekend's performance so far in this entire set? Playing the Circuit last game, a great showing. This game as well on the Robin, a part of every one of Trifecta's kills, sitting at 5, 1, and 7, where Robin has been mostly forgotten about, and his one death was because of that. The non-ultimate from before, where he was invading the red buff. He had flashbacks of his first death in this game. He's like, not again. Not today.
Not the return. I don't want to see the rerun. Trifecta's still here, only 3 players strong, and if eUnited knew this, they could jump on them. Instead, the enhanced Fire Giant will be jumped on. 60% already.
Trifecta, nowhere to be found, is 50% health. They need Ducky to really get in there.
Meanwhile, it's still being attacked here by the carry. Ducky jumps in, and now everybody looks in at Bologna. Fire Giant still antsy, doing its thing. Dashing out, now on the left side. Benji with the execute on top of Eonic. There to the sky goes 1. Vetium puts Ducky down. It's a 2 for none so far. Benji trying to take damage and deal it at the same damn time. But eUnited already come out on top. Trifecta lose 2, 9-12. eUnited up 2K gold.
And because Weekend was on the left side of the map before, that's what forced eUnited's hand on that Fire Giant objective. Without Weekend's presence, fighting 4-on-5, eUnited chipped away at Trifecta's health bars, but by the time Weekend showed up, it was too little too late. He didn't have Mystic Rush to clean up any kills. Callus still had the Geb Shield for himself. There was no kills for eUnited, losing 2 members for Trifecta. I think eUnited now can easily go for this enhanced Fire Giant without any sort of contest.
Certainly looks like they're going to. Nobody on Trifecta anywhere near the location, halfway across the world, not even getting the gold Fury. This is absolutely a Fire Giant for eUnited.
A lot of it came down to Ducky yet again, another botched Eagles rally. But not only that, where he landed was right on top of the Merlin's fire pillars.
Yeah, that's one of the more damaging abilities. It's going to shred your protections and just deal this absurd amount of damage.
And with all the other fire as well, between Merlin and also the Fire Giant, not a good spot to be if you're a Bologna. Eonic fell pretty quickly as well. I think that Wowy couldn't really get the damage off he wanted in that last engagement. A great shell timing from Callus, keeping all his members alive, and more importantly, the Geb shield on himself to keep him alive against Weekend.
Well, Trifecta going to try walking up the right-hand lane while IceIceBaby walks up the left. Minions seep in. And Vetium's here as well, so that should be enough to dissuade Trifecta from trying anything funny. And it will. They'll walk away. That said, Nanja here, the hope of the last tower in the duo lane. It will go down.
I love the misdirection Trifecta tried to do on the right side of the map, keeping everyone from eUnited at bay, or like, hey, they could split push this. We have to contest this. Like, because the worst thing in the world is when you have Fire Giant and you're losing towers.
Yeah, there's no good feeling there.
It's one of the worst ones out there in Smite competitively. So now that eUnited stopped their push, they're like, all right, well, now that we're here, we're going to use the same lane and return the favor, getting a tier 2 tower. No more tower standing for Trifecta. Phoenix is completely exposed.
And 33 minutes in, we've got 21 kills. 12 of them belong to Trifecta. A tie game here for all intents and purposes, though 10,000 gold does separate 2 of our teams. I think that it's fine to say that it's a very even matchup.
Wowy taking so much damage that he has to go into the Valkyrie's discretion. Lasbra, Beast against Benji's Blink stun engage. Benji still taking that Phoenix for quite a long time. Alice now could be in a little bit of trouble.
Ducky finds a stun, but Eonic can't find the double up. In come the minions. There's the ultimate coming out from Eonic. That means go. Up to the sky goes Nuwa. Down comes the damage. There's a jump in from Ducky, and the damage is dealt to IceIce. No healer, but they'll have regen from the MP5 and the MPH out of Fire Giant.
They're still very healthy if they want to go back in. They have the Geb Shield. They don't have the Shell Relic, though, and that's an important thing to note. They do, however, have this Fatal Strike. The snowball potential for eUnited goes a long way if Trifecta aren't healthy.
Well, here's trouble for Benji as he's getting a little bit excitable. Callus has to run as well. Meanwhile, right side, IceIceBaby and Ducky have been doing what they can. Both Phoenixes down below half.
And that's because of the enhanced Fire Giant. It doesn't matter if minions are there at the end of the day or not. Extra structure damage. eUnited exploiting that to full effect. Almost getting the middle one.
Still pushing here. Right side from IceIce, still there. Meanwhile, the middle one, like you were saying, 5% left, maybe a little bit more. IceIce and BigMan and Vetium combining. There's a lift, and the rest of Trifecta gonna collapse. Double lift into double stun into a single kill from Lasbra onto Weekend.
Eonic and Lasbra combined their stunts onto Callus that he couldn't use anything. A great ultimate from Ducky. Finds one, a third victim from eUnited, and the chase is gonna be on. Ducky doesn't want to let this go.
Ducky's gonna get sashed on, and you're right. Trifecta unlikely to let this go, but I think they have to. Yeah. I think they just have to.
Wow, not a single Phoenix taken by eUnited despite having the enhanced Fire Giant. IceIceBaby keeping Ducky distracted long enough on the right side of the minimap didn't really hold to be fruitful in the slightest. That middle Phoenix needed that last push over the edge to get the Firebird. And all things pretty much even, despite the gold difference being about 7,000 gold. The difference between 92,000 versus 84,000 is almost negligible.
Yeah, I mean, when you're kind of living there, it really doesn't make a difference. So being aware of it is certainly one thing. Trying to make plays off of it, I think, is perhaps a different thing. Pyromancer being aggressed on by Trifecta. United looking to respond somehow. They have 3 people in the Lost Woods. Won't be able to find anything just yet.
An important decision Callus just made. Before selling the Guardian's Blessing, he's actually keeping the Guardian's Blessing to have that 48 extra gold per minute, but he sold off the boots to finish off his Relic Dagger. He got the Relic Dagger, picked up the Elixir of Speed.
I like it.
And he's still keeping the Guardian's Blessing for the extra gold per minute.
I like the Relic Dagger. I think the Relic Dagger allows you to obviously spend more options, but also shell your team. That's a really big deal. Trifecta and eUnited now sending their junglers over there into the mid lane. By junglers, I mean Weekend Benji. IceIceBaby not really going to get drawn into the 1v1s too often. But it looks like he just got drawn into a 1v1. Him versus Bologna. Ducky trying to chase him down. Frostbolt. No. Going to avoid it. And the rest of eUnited just group up one more time.
That slow by the Blizzard with the Gem of Isolation is so obnoxious to deal with.
Yeah, because they both have a slow component.
That's true. As Ducky's going to get stunned out on the backhand side. eUnited going to get whooped. eUnited not able to really get much, but neither is Trifecta. The longer this poke battle goes, though, I gotta say it favors Trifecta having Eonic on this Terra. Can we look at the healing done? I'm just kind of curious to see the state of the game right now.
Wow, 6760 healing for the Terra.
It's not the most, but it's definitely noticeable.
That's 3 life bars.
Yeah, that's pretty good considering that you're really trying to keep the Freya alive, and that'll go a long way. Having a shell and a horrific emblem. Callus, though, might be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he's going to get dashed on. Ducky knocked up as well. Eonic in trouble. Thorns is good onto one of the players up front. Meanwhile, Nuwa up in the back using the ultimate.
Look at IceIce in the backside. He's looking for Lasbra. Gets spotted out by Weekend. Doesn't want to allow this ultimate, but the stun actually shifts and is onto Ducky instead.
Everybody just going to surround the Duckman. He's low HP, so is Merlin, but Merlin gets away. There, Ducky trying to deal with it, and he's able to just jump on out.
No one dead yet. IceIceBaby could be that first victim, but the Mantle of Discord passive saved him for a moment. Wowy was wanting to chase that out, but he shifts his attention onto Benji instead of sticking on the Naja.
That's just a little bit rough there, Anatoly. Trifecta now starting up the Fire Giant, going to be dashed on, and there's a dash from Terra. There's a clash from Terra as Vetium falls again. 2, 3, and 5 for the Hunter out of eUnited.
Doesn't seem like the Xingwei pick is that safe anymore. This aggressive front line from Trifecta, Bologna, Robin, even the way Eonic is playing the Terra is very aggressive. And
oh yeah,
this backline from eUnited is not safe in the slightest, and that's even with a Gep for Callus.
I mean, how much more protection can you get? Maybe if you go like a Kepri or something?
That's pretty much what you're going to have to go if you're trying to deal with Trifecta strategies. And I like this idea from Trifecta, knowing that when they get leads, it's because they made the plays first.
Oh, yeah.
They're not necessarily a team that reacts very well compared to a lot of more experienced teams, but what they do have in their arsenal and playbook is knowing how to play offensive. And as long as they can continue utilizing their abilities together in unison,
right,
catch these people out of position, such as Vetium on the Xingwei, this is when the 5-on-4 power plays can occur. But they didn't utilize their 5-on-4 power play. They allowed Vetium to respawn and now use the Xingwei passive to get back in the mix.
Yeah, we saw that a number of times in the past.
They could totally fight this now. eUnited could just push on forward with Vetium right around this corner. All their ultimates are available. The one thing that they don't have is Vetium's relics.
And that's going to be a big deal, to be fair. But he kind of needs his relics. 7 seconds on his own opponent's bees. 17 was and BigManTingz over there. Trifecta here, just pushing up on the backside. No real control of the pit for them. United in a good spot.
We didn't really call Big Man's name a lot this game specifically, but playing the Merlin, his damage numbers have certainly gone unnoticed. At the very top of the charts just now after dealing a little bit with the zoning blizzard, with the constant short cooldown frostbolt, Trifecta's ability to engage down these corridors, Big Man's not going to make it easy.
Not quite. Up to the sky goes one. IceIceBaby gonna isolate them, and it's gonna be IceIce. Walks away cleanly. Vetium in trouble though, gets knocked away. Shell is good, lifted by the own ultimate. Now Vetium gonna find an exit to the right-hand side. The rest of the team fight continuing as Weeknd slowly walks down IceIceBaby, and that's it. That's a walk away. That's a disengage. That's a retreat. That's an exit. That's an ejection. Whatever you want to call it. Everybody just walked away swimmingly.
And with Vetium back and healthy, this is eUnited's Fire Giant. Trifecta are not the healthy ones. Eonic at 50% health, having to back to base. eUnited should be able to confirm this one. And a sliver of health. The Geb shield, the Geb shell, keeping himself alive. I believe production just told us that Vetium survived with 29 health.
That'll do it. Wowy walking in. Enhanced Fire Giant down to half, but everybody on eUnited gonna turn and burn. Wowy's in trouble. There's the hit. Benji finds number 10 for the team. Up to the sky goes IceIceBaby. Looks like he's gonna be taking down Eonic, but it's BigManTingz that gets the last hit. BigManTingz that gets the last hit. I said it twice because he did it twice. Ducky goes down. Here comes Benji chasing up the mage. And eUnited looking directly for the fountain. 3 players out for a minute. And the mid lane Phoenix is going to be lasting just about 3 seconds. Pushing up into the base now is the red, white, and blue. Vetium leading the charge. IceIceBaby jumps over the wall. Totally, here comes the damage onto the Titan. Big crits coming out. And there's a jump to the back line. Titan still intact, half HP. Vetium takes care of one, and now the all-out focus on to Lasbra.
That is it. Game number 2. eUnited. It was a scary game for them. And still, even at the very end of the game, Tom, it was 14 kills for eUnited compared to Trifecta's 16. Objectively, eUnited are controlling the Gold Furies, the Pyromancers, the Fire Giants, and more importantly, these Titans at the end of the game. They just know how to close out better than Trifecta do.
That's the key. Trifecta really need to internalize what it is that prevent them from finishing the game. They tried to do so in game number 1 a little bit too early. Now this time around, a little bit too timid. Coach Cassie in the back, a recent pickup from these guys. You might remember him filling in for Insignum in the minor league. Lasbra is his connection. He previously coached Lasbra. Now Cassie is going to come here to the major leagues and figure out with Trifecta how they can stop eUnited from obtaining the 3-game sweep.
2 things in that last team fight that allowed eUnited success was, number 1, IceIceBaby's Blink ultimate, keeping Ducky long enough out of the team fight to be relevant. Number 2 was Wowy being so far out of position, taking all that damage from Benji. And without a Freya late game hyper carry, your physical damage is a Bologna Robin. So without that magical Freya damage, there's nothing that eUnited have to worry about.
A little bit tough there. Game number 2 in the books. We'll put this one to sleep. We'll get on to game 3, but first, a breakdown.
Well, another tough loss there for Trifecta and a big win for eUnited. And Taco, even though Trifecta hold the kill lead all the way through the end of that game, they never really had the lead, like in gold or experience or in the metrics that matter in terms of winning a game. What did you see as the big problem there for Trifecta?
I think it's 2 things. Trifecta is getting a little bit misled by their actual kill count in the early to mid game. It doesn't feel necessarily like they're doing enough with those picks, but I also think that it's the other side of that discussion is the fact that eUnited is also playing things out incredibly well despite those picks having occurred. I felt like eUnited were always at least able to juggle the Trifecta around just long enough so that by the time the respawn did come back up again, it was not really a possibility for Trifecta to try and look for any of those early Gold Fury or Primal or whichever one it might have been up, or the Pyromancers even. No real pressuring against any of the towers early on. So even though the kill score was definitely getting separated between these two teams throughout the early and mid game, ultimately they just fell short because they couldn't find those structures to really get some of that snowball effect going.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that is Collis, especially as the game starts getting later and later, right, on this Geb, because that does then lower not just your kill potential, but the potential for you to close the games out at all. He's such a disruption factor with the Shockwave, with the Cataclysm. He made it very difficult for Weekend to continually get onto a target, or for Nuwa, or Lasbra on the Nuwa, rather, to be able to clean kills up. I think Collison's Geb was one of the big turnaround points.
Collis and IceIceBaby were definitely running the map, and I mean the map because IceIceBaby was able to just zone away so often for Trifecta, just a constant threatening force on this Naja. I think he had great target prioritization, but again, none of that probably is even possible had it not been for Collis with some of these incredible Geb shields. He just had so much awareness throughout the duration of these team fights that even though Vetium was more often than not the target for Trifecta to try and track down, I definitely feel as though Collis just continue to allow eUnited to survive and stretch these team fights out long enough for their own ultimates to come back into the playing field.
Well, it's solo laner Benji on your screen right now. It's hard to think of a god you can give him to minimize his impact. The King Arthur, the Achilles now at this point. He'll do it on just about anything. Another key piece for this eUnited squad and their big victory. They just got here in game number 2, but the set's not done. They're going to need a little bit more if they want to close this one out. And for me, BigManTingz has done exactly like what we said at the start of this set, right? He has just done his job well throughout the entirety of this set. I loved the way he played on this Merlin. They had the objective burn damage. The poke was there from him as well. He was staying safe. Helps to have a Geb, but I mean, just good work from Tings. I thought as well on this Merlin.
Always nice to have a Geb. I say
yes.
Geb is busted all the time. And
He's
this
good,
is
man.
why, because when you make it this late into a match, it just feels so impossible to try and chunk through another huge wave of health just being made possible. So Collis, definitely kudos to him for this Geb gameplay here in number 2. And Trifecta, they're down, but they're not out just yet.
No, they're not out yet, and I think they can feel good that in Game 1 they had the actual lead. In Game 2 they were doing the better team fighting. What they need to do is get those two combined, right, to where they can win the fights and be the ones controlling the objectives on the map. Right now it feels like Trifecta keep kind of like shining through, like there's cracks, but they just need to break through that wall so they can move up to be one of those teams that's in that 4th through 6th spot, which is where I think they can be. But right now, the way they've had some troubles, I don't think they're going to be able to make it to that level.
I definitely do think that we've seen steady improvement, though, from Trifecta. I know we haven't really had a chance to really, evaluate much of their gameplay since they've only played a couple of sets so far, but the fact that this looks like such a steep improvement in comparison to the last time they were here at the studios playing, it's almost as though Kessier really has helped influence this team, at least towards a better direction for team fighting.
I think so, too. There's definitely been some influence. When you heard, Eonic in an interview with him talking about how much they value some of the advice they've been able to get from their coach as well. So I think you're right to point him out and point out some of the impact that he's been able to have for the squad. But they're going to need a little bit more. I've seen him. He's in there. He's in the booth. He's watching what's going on closely, trying to take all those notes and everything. They got to find some kind of way to piece this all together. And I don't know if maybe it's making sure that they're even more early game on some of these picks or where they need to go, Taka, but they got to find something.
I actually really liked the weekend on the Robin. I think he did an excellent job at helping to split apart the team fight. Or not only that, but oftentimes he would even just find a massive Mystic Rush that would just force so much of initial chunk damage that it just pushed all of eUnited backwards. And if Trifecta are able to be a little bit quicker on the trigger, I think, as far as their follow-up is concerned, then things might be a little bit more possible for them to not only clean sweep the team fight, but also take an objective after.